you're the Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he just kind of, shook his head, very
Nonchalant.
nonchalant, didn't want the attention, very shy, and he smiled and he said yes. And that's when I was like, oh my God.
Now, with what's going on now, it's obvious that Bob was telling the truth.
Absolutely.
And that the government has been involved with these retrieving UFOs, UAPs, or whatever you want to call them.
There's something called the Legacy Program that came out or was organized, I believe, in 1947. Secret program to do everything that you just said. Retrieve crashes, to study any non-human biologics that have been left at the crash scenes. There's good aliens and there's bad aliens.
Sure, could be, yeah.
Just like we're in the planet of duality.
Yeah.
Ships will come and completely turn off their nuclear reactors.
Right, yeah.
If they have the capability to do that, they had the capability to wipe us out 100%. And are choosing not to.
Right. Welcome to the Mondo Show. I should probably do like an episode saying, hey, I was gone for 2 years. Now I'm back, but who cares? It's just a dude. But I have Laura Donigan. Laura Donigan. I want to read your bio because it was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think we should all have like a bio when we go into a podcast. So
thank you.
Some people wake up to these topics later in life. Laura says she never really had to wake up. She came into this world already asking the big questions. As a little girl, while everyone else was reading Sweet Valley High and the Hardy Boys, she was devouring books about prophecy, Nostradamus, ooh, that's a good one, and aliens. Her grandmother introduced her to Dolores Cannon while she was still in elementary school, planting seeds that would ultimately shape the course of her entire life. Laura believes that our lives are guided by breadcrumbs, those meaningful coincidences and synchronicities that gently point us towards purpose if we're paying attention. That is so true. She followed those breadcrumbs into a life of spiritual exploration and healing, eventually becoming a QHHT practitioner. QHHT practitioner. Go ahead and, for the audience, state what that means.
It stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique.
Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Helping people connect with their higher selves and discover the wisdom that already exists within them. It's all within you, folks. I added that. That's not hers. And somewhere along the winding path, one of these synchronicities placed her face to face with a famous man now, whose story has fascinated and divided the world for decades. The famous, or some would say infamous. Bob Lazar.
Yes.
Today, she's here to share not only her unique connection to Bob, but the lifelong journey that prepared her for the moment long before it ever happened. Welcome, Laura Donigan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Anytime I can talk about this stuff, I'm always happy to.
Well, awesome. Awesome. There's so much to talk about. Let's go into you first a little bit, if we may, and talk about Laura. Just give us a little brief intro.
Sure. So my dad was an electrical engineer and got a job at the Nevada test site back in the late 70s. So luckily for me, he moved us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I was born, to Las Vegas, Nevada, before I turned a year old. So my hometown where I grew up was Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, sure.
I loved Las Vegas. It was an amazing town. There was always a lot of mystery and rumors surrounding that area because the Nevada test site was very well known for doing nuclear tests. But there was a little lesser known area called Area 51 that was near that area that was starting to become very famous, or a lot of people were talking about what was happening at this Area 51 place.
Right.
So I grew up kind of knowing about that. I also grew up with a grandmother who was fascinated with Dolores Cannon.
Yep.
And Dolores Cannon is greatly known in the spiritual world for past life regression hypnosis. And she actually developed a technique that allows you to recognize past life memories and also to connect with your higher self. So as a young girl, I was watching all these documentaries about past life regression. I remember seeing and hearing about Edgar Cayce,
Yep.
the sleeping prophet. And then, of course, that led me to Nostradamus. And really almost every taboo subject that people were like, this isn't true. This isn't real. I was like, yes, it is.
Right.
I just had this knowing. I just had this feeling that everything that people were telling me were not true were actually true. And then the things that people were telling me were true, I just wasn't buying into.
Right.
One of
Felt
that,
something.
yes,
Yeah.
being religion. I grew up strict Roman Catholic religion, and I just remember sitting there every time I was at mass, and I was just like, where are all the women? How come there aren't any women
Ooh,
in
interesting.
power positions?
I see.
And it was always, shh, be quiet, just be quiet. And then how come I have to go in this weird dark box with this man and tell him all my confessions that I did? Confessions. And I thought that was super weird too. So nothing resonated with me
Interesting.
in regards to religion, also because they were talking about a God that was mean and vengeful and hurt people. And if you didn't follow the rules, and my God, the person I knew that created me, was loving.
Sure.
So I just felt a lot of conflict. I also found the Roswell story very young. I remember being in elementary hearing about the aliens at Roswell. And I was fascinated with that story. Anything I could find to learn about or to research, I was doing.
Right.
One of the things that I thought was so neat was the fact that the Air Force literally said they had a flying saucer. And then the very next day, oh, no, just kidding. It's a weather
Yeah, we
balloon.
got it wrong. Yeah.
I was like,
We got it wrong.
so from that young age, even then, I was like, is the government really our best friend? Are they really telling us everything that's happening? So I was just devouring anything and everything I could about conspiracies and mysteries. And of course, aliens was always at the top of my list. So for many years, I was doing a lot of research all the way up and through to my high school years. Nothing I really talked to my friends about. They were too busy talking about boys in high school, and I was doing those activities too, but I was always had this insatiable drive to try to find out life's mysteries.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I was given that opportunity. One of the first breadcrumbs that I believe I had was meeting Bob Lazar in the late 1990s. And that was a very big opportunity for me, a huge gift and blessing. And it really helped alter the course of my life. After meeting Bob, I ended up moving to Oregon. I got out of the Vegas rat race. Vegas can be a tough place to live and can be a tough place to grow up. If you know people that are there or been there for any amount of time, you'll hear that it's very low vibrational.
Interesting.
It's a very dense place to live. And so I left and went to Oregon, where I met and married the man who would become the father of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 beautiful kids, but I never felt at home in Oregon. I never enjoyed it there. I never really liked or met people that were kind of similar to me or had similar ideas as me. So I really kind of became a hermit when I was in Oregon. And it led me to self-medicate and try to make myself happy in a situation where I wasn't. I started going down some very dark conspiracy holes and some rabbit holes. And it ended up taking me to a point where my life became unmanageable. And I did have to go to rehab for the second time in early 2015 for drugs and alcohol. But that is where I really came into my own. It was kind of my second awakening. That's where I really surrendered and recognized that there is a higher power.
Sure.
And the only way I'm going to make it through this world is to work on myself and work on the reasons as to why I got into that dark place to begin with.
Okay.
So I had a dark night of the soul, which, is kind of a broad term for when you just get to the point in your life where you have to just start peeling back the layers so that you can get to who you truly are. And I really started then getting onto the metaphysical, new age, and spiritual bandwagon and looking at different ways to heal myself and all of the dysfunction that I had in my life previous that I wasn't addressing.
I see.
So, one day I just happened to be watching HGTV. It was during COVID, and I was cleaning, and it was the Destin edition. And that was the first time I actually really got an idea of what the beaches were like here in Northwest Florida. I had no clue that the beaches were that beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought you had to go to the Bahamas
I know, right?
or the Caribbean.
It's still kind of a hidden secret, I feel, a little
I
bit.
know,
It's getting
it's
out
still
there
kind of
now,
we
but
want
it's
to
it's for sure. I mean, the traffic has. I mean, I've been here 6 years now, so the traffic has definitely picked up. No doubt about it.
Yes,
The word is out.
It
So,
has. It
no
has.
doubt about it.
So, and being on the West Coast during COVID was awful. Everything on the West Coast was closed. It was masks. It was, and I didn't believe in doing any of that. As soon as COVID came
You didn't
out,
trust the government?
I
You
did
know,
not
I
know.
know.
I was like, I'm like, this
How
sounds
dare
like you. This sounds like a cold or this sounds like a virus. I'm like, why are they making it out to be such a big thing?
There are people still taking their boosters.
And still wearing the masks, right? And so I saw that
Programming.
edition, that HGTV show. I said, I've always wanted to live on a warm beach.
Sure.
This was a great opportunity to leave Oregon and to come out to Florida. And so I did. In 2021 is when I came out here, and within a couple of years, I got into the QHHT program, which is the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Academy. It's Dolores Cannon's method of hypnosis. And I'm a level 2 practitioner, and now I relax people into the theta state of trance
Okay.
where they can connect to their higher self
Right.
and access past life memories that are going to help them with things that they're dealing with in their current life.
So you have felt, even at a young age, just a little bit more connected, like a deeper purpose for you rather than the superficial,
Yes.
what most of us just do, which is on autopilot. I was like, yeah, so you started to explore like there's something else here. We're here for a purpose, not just to be consumers.
Yes.
So you started to feel this at a young age, had to suppress it because of where you were born into and how you were raised in that environment. And so naturally you suppressed the gifts for your own safety,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So-
And I had a lot of
Sure.
paranormal and ghost experience as a child, too. And I think that's when I really blocked them because I had some pretty scary experiences. And as a child, it can become very easy for you to put that wall up and to block anything from happening.
I see.
I deal with that a lot in my work. I deal with clients who similarly had experiences when they were young, got scared, blocked it,
Interesting.
and now are looking at unblocking it so that they can have those gifts again. Because when we're born, for the first, they say up until age 5 or 7, we are so still connected to source. We can have vivid past life memories. We can remember being in our mother's womb. We can remember being in a place before coming down into this life.
Sure.
We're able to have interactions with family members that have passed over. So the world is such a beautiful, magical place for kids during that time. And if it can get scary, though, and that happens a lot of times, if a situation can become scary, it's really easy for the kid to put the energy up. I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to block. I want to block it.
Sure.
And your higher self will do that for you as a protection measure until you're able to and want to open that back up again. It's not that easy to open it back up, though, once you've closed it. But it can happen.
I see. Okay.
And yeah, I did keep a lot of that information to myself because no kids wanted to talk about Roswell with me, or no kids wanted to sit there and talk about, Nostradamus and prophecies.
Sure.
They just wanted to play on the playground. And so I always felt like an outcast or too mature for my age. People would call, "Oh, she's such an old soul." Those words usually describe someone who has been reincarnating into this earth a lot of times, who's grown their soul to a certain point. And I'm really hoping, honestly, that this is my last incarnation here because I feel like
man, I think we're coming back.
I feel
Things
like
aren't going too hard.
I have done a lot of work, man. And I'm like, okay, please don't make me come back to this prison planet again.
I think everybody's saying that right now. Like, holy cow, the cost of everything's going up. Like, oh my gosh, like, geez, it's bananas out there.
Yeah. Well, and yeah. So a lot of my childhood, I was kind of like the odd duckling, the odd one out.
Sure.
Didn't have a lot of close friends. Just always felt like I was third wheeling it, being a follower of the group with the rest of them, but always just thinking and
Didn't fit in.
no, I
Yeah, you
never did.
knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew something else was.
Yeah.
I think it was Cat Williams was like, "Hey, 85% of the people on the planet don't even have souls."
I don't know if it's that quite, but it's
You right?
like that.
I had heard that, and Cat Williams he's a comedian, so he's fun, but he's intelligent as well. I'd like to listen to him, but
Yeah.
I've heard some other numbers as well, and I think I don't know. I think the number is high.
Yeah. I wouldn't, it's probably more than 50%.
Yeah, like, and even and then NPCs too. That's a big thing.
Yep.
I try to always figure out who I'm around, so that's an important thing as well. So when you started to unlock, so let's go back to, you said you had your first awakening and you had some struggles with addiction.
Yes.
If you want, let's go down that path, and
Sure.
what can people learn about you from your journey?
I believe it starts with my first boyfriend that I had when I turned 16, my first love. He was an abuser. Physically. And of course, emotionally and
Sure, both,
mentally,
right.
but it definitely became physical within probably the first year of us dating.
Really?
And it would just happen with just little shoves up against the lockers, that type of thing. And he would cry and be very remorseful. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That'll never happen again. And I was, naive and young and kind and okay, I believe you. I believe you.
Right.
And then just so embarrassed by it. Like, why? What's wrong with me? And not wanting to tell anybody. So it was a secret. Nobody knew, not my friends, family, nothing. And of course, it escalated. And it brought me to the point when I finally was able to step away from that relationship. I was like this big.
Right.
My self-esteem was crushed.
I believe it.
When I would walk, my head was down all the time. Like, I didn't want attention from people because if I did get any attention when I was with him, it was my fault.
Right.
So I was at a very low point with self-worth and confidence. And, my sister was a showgirl on the Strip. We all danced and sang growing up. I come from a musical family. My dad is also a musician.
Awesome.
Another great reason why he moved to Vegas, so he could moonlight in the evenings. And so she was a beautiful dancer, a showgirl. And what they all do is they have weigh-ins. And so a lot of the showgirls will take meth or coke or something to help keep their weight
Oh, wow.
weight in check, and also it keeps you bubbly and outgoing
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
And so
Never do coke.
well,
I've never done it.
I've done that too, but meth is like coke on steroids is how I like to put it. But I was in a low place one day. She came over, she had some, I tried it, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
Because it brought me, I was bubbly, I was outgoing. All of a sudden I had a personality, I was talking, and
Out of your shell.
I totally brought me out of my shell. And what turned into, I'm just going to do this on the weekends, turned into, wow, look at how productive I am during the week when I'm at work.
Yeah.
And slowly it became an everyday problem. And when I didn't have it, it was, sleeping for 3-4 days.
Wow.
Because you would pass out for that long, and then I'd get up and then I'd, try to do it again. But it was nobody could tell. It was do a little in the morning, drink some in the afternoon to help get the edge off of you, take sleeping pills or smoke marijuana at night,
Oh.
and do it all over again.
Yeah, just a vicious loop pattern full of chemicals and uppers, downers, the whole bit.
And this was at 17, 18 years of age. Yes. And so I was about 6 years. I chased that. Having, maybe a month or two of times where I wasn't doing drugs. But most of the time it was, doing a little bit just as a maintenance every day to make me feel something, basically. Make me feel good about myself.
Right.
And
that dopamine wants that response.
Yep.
Because you weren't happy in a low state.
Yep. And then during that time, I was not spiritual at all. I was not researching. I was forgotten about aliens. I'd forgotten how everything that was important to me, because then it was just about, chasing that high and how I'm going to get that again. So that was a really, really tough time right after high school. And it was right around the time that I actually met Bob Lazar was during that time.
Okay.
During a time when I was doing pretty good, but still not taking care of myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then Bob Lazar happened to come up, and like, how in the world did you
I
meet that
know.
guy?
Well, like I talk about, I don't believe in coincidences.
No, for sure.
It's everything is a synchronicity.
Yes, ma'am.
Things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that have gotten me to where I am today. And this is another one of those, probably the biggest synchronicity that happened to me. I was so, previous to the drug use, I was so interested in aliens. I was so interested in all the conspiracy theories and being in Vegas, we had a lot of just weird things that would happen in Vegas. I think it's because it's such a low vibrational place. But the news was always fun to watch. And the 6 o'clock news was what everybody watched on KLAS Channel 8. And when I was about 13 or so, I remember the big story. I remember the story when George Knapp was interviewing. At first, he came out in a silhouette.
Oh.
He was hiding his identity.
He didn't disguise his voice, though.
No, he didn't disguise his voice.
He
You could
has
even
such a unique voice.
and
It's
you
like,
could
I know who that guy
still
is.
see like the silhouette of his glasses and stuff too.
Yeah.
And what was funny, I know this now, it wasn't a synchronicity back then, but the name he used as his name was Dennis. And that's my second husband's name too. And I know there's a reason for that. It's another synchronicity. However, so everybody was just so enthralled in that story. And I was early teens and I thought it was the coolest thing. And then when he actually came out and shown who he was, then everybody could put a picture with the name. And that story was big for a few years.
Right.
And then it started to die down.
Mhm.
Other things started happening. And I was working for Bank of America at the time. I was in new accounts and loans. And I was working one day, and all of a sudden, this guy came in and sat in front of me and wanted to talk about a home equity loan. And I kept staring at him, and I'm like, you look really familiar. And he goes, yeah, I get that a lot. And he didn't say it, that's all I said. And I was like, So I'm like, where do I know this guy from? I'm like, whatever. So I just, explained how the loans work. And I started asking him questions about his life.
Sure.
And I'm like, so what do you do? And I think he said, I'm a nuclear physicist. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. I'm like, oh, my dad, works out at the test site as electrical engineer. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And so we were just talking and everything. And I'm getting more information about what he does. And then I said, okay, well, time for the application. What's your name? And he said, Robert Lazar. And I remember I just looked at him and I'm pretty sure my mouth was open. I'm pretty sure it was like,
Did he know right away that you recognized it?
I'm sure he had to at
Yeah,
that
he's-
point.
yeah.
Because I go, you're the Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he just kind of, shook his head very
Nonchalant.
nonchalant, didn't want the attention, very shy,
Yeah.
and he smiled and he said yes. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I couldn't contain my excitement. I explained that I had been following his story and, have been really into the UFO phenomenon ever since learning about Roswell.
For sure.
And so we had a very nice conversation. He asked me out for coffee,
Yeah.
which I was so giddy about. I was like, oh my God, I get to talk to this man some more. And so we did. We had a really nice date.
And so just so people, see if I can get this right. So people who don't know who Bob Lazar is.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar, he came out in 1988 or 89, and he said, hey, I've been working for the government, to backwards engineer these alien craft.
Yep.
Roswell essentially was true.
Yep.
Kind of his, the intent of his,
Mm-hmm.
of him. I'm trying to think what else. And he was hired by the government to do some compartmentalization, which is very common in the military. Like,
Yes.
and that's a very interesting, just topic itself, how the government compartmentalizes everything. So you really don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Bob worked back there in 1989, was hired, had the security clearance, has a lot of information and details about the craft, how the power and propulsion works, element 115, right? All that stuff, which he told us about back then.
Right.
And back then, it was told that that element did not exist.
Mhm.
We now know today it does exist. We just can't keep it in a stable environment,
Right.
according to the experts.
Right.
I'm sure, I firmly believe that. Well, we'll get down that path. But
Yes.
so okay. So what else would you throw into Bob? I would say that the reason why he no longer works for the government is because his wife, well, number one, when you're in that type of environment, they're tracking you.
Yes.
They're listening to phone calls. The
They're
government,
tracking your family members.
everything.
Yes.
His wife was
Yes.
found to be having an affair,
Yes.
which would compromise him,
His emotional.
his emotion, right, and which is normal in that environment with the security classifications, and et cetera. So then Bob came out, I think, as a matter to protect himself as well.
He had
Go ahead.
real possibility of being taken out.
100%. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
100% believe that.
I don't believe he would have shown himself
Yeah.
and came out, hey, it's me that came out with this story, unless he felt a credible threat to his life.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then since then, I know he's been probably raided on multiple times. There's been all kinds of issues. So now, though, Bob told all this story back in the 90s. People kind of believed it was like a conspiracy theory. But now, with what's going on now, it's obvious that Bob was telling the truth.
Absolutely.
And that the government has been involved with these retrieving UFOs, UAPs, or whatever you want to call them, capturing the technology, utilizing it, backward engineering it, and here we are today.
Yeah. So basically, what's come out in the recent Senate meetings is that there's something called the Legacy Program that came out or was organized, I believe, in 1947, right around the same time that Roswell happened.
It's amazing how that works.
Yeah, exactly. A secret program to do everything that you just said, retrieve crashes, to study any non-human biologics that have been left at the crash scenes.
Yeah.
And of course, to be the first to be able to use this technology for ourselves. So
Right.
we've been in a race with China and with Russia.
Right.
It seems like those countries as well also have retrieved
Right.
UFO crashes. And so whoever gets the technology first is going to be the winner. So it's been going on since 1947. That's where a lot of missing money has been going to. Black ops money has been going there to fund all of this research so that we could be top when it came to UFO technology. It's interesting. I'm just really happy for Bob that he finally gets vindicated because his whole life was just turned upside down.
Right.
You know, Los Alamos, where he worked prior to being out at S4, erased all of his employment records. But luckily, George Knapp, doing his digging, was able to find him in the telephone book. And also he was in a newspaper article. And they said, he referenced that he worked at Los Alamos.
They didn't scrub everything.
No, they can't, and of course he talked about element 115 and talked about how it worked and how it wasn't stable. But now in the documents that are coming out now with the AATIP Foundation, which AATIP was created in 2017 or 18 by Louis Elizondo, because he was so tired of hearing and getting all of these reports from Navy pilots and military saying, hey, we've got this stuff happening. It's happening in our skies. It's happening in the ocean. This is a national security threat. We need somebody to actually research this stuff. So Harry Reid, which of course I think is funny because he's in Nevada. He was a Nevada senator. With his funding, they were able to create AATIP and finally start doing some research out in the open, I guess you could say. Because, the Legacy Program had been doing this all secret for forever. Now they're finally having something that has oversight, that they'll be able to do something with this information. But they continued to get kickback. Anytime they would have a lot of information, they would present it to the Pentagon, and it would never go any higher.
Of course.
And one of the biggest reasons was religious. pushback.
Yes, I believe that.
Because the implications of what would happen if it's discovered, or I should say when it's discovered that we've been working with different alien races for such a long time, it's going to have a huge religious impact. And so that was one of the big reasons why AATIP didn't get anywhere either. They tend to say that anything that is happening is demonic and it's not aliens.
Everything is demonic.
No, and that's a whole nother podcast, because I do believe,
Sure.
there's good aliens and there's bad aliens.
Sure, could be, yeah.
Just like we're in the planet of duality.
Yeah.
Trust
Absolutely.
me. We have aliens. We have so many military personnel on record saying that these ships will come and completely turn off their nuclear reactors.
Right. Yeah.
If they have the capability to do that, they had the capability to wipe us out and are
100%.
choosing not to.
Right.
So I get really upset when, like even J.D. Vance, he publicly came out and said aliens are demons. That really pissed me off because he's setting the stage for a narrative that I don't like. He's painting them as all being bad and negative, which is not the case. There are so many groups that are out there that have been helping the planet for thousands of years, who are out in our skies protecting us right now from other forces, and who are keeping an eye on us to make sure we get our shit together. They started coming around after the atomic bomb came about, and that's the reason why they're here. They don't want us blowing us up or blowing ourselves up, because it's going to have a ripple effect in the universe.
100%.
Are there bad aliens? Absolutely. Are there demons? I believe so, absolutely, too. I don't know if I'll ever understand the differences or what makes one alien versus demons, but there are aliens here that are not doing good things, and I think a lot of them are showing themselves in the political field right now.
Interesting. Well, I think JD has a narrative to present, and that is, well, something it has to be bad. So therefore, we can continue to spend billions and trillions
To fight it.
So it's a first. Remember when we were growing up, it was Russia, and then or Soviet Union, and they collapsed. And then it was, after a while, it was the Japanese, because their Toyota and Nissan were kicking the crap out of American cars. And then the Japanese were bad. You always have to have a bad actor so you can throw trillions of dollars at it, so you can exhaust the middle class and continue to print trillions of dollars at our expense. That's essentially what's going on right now. It's all I believe, like, politics is complete theater. But I never used to be like that. I used to actually believe that, the Republicans were trying to do good and, the Democrats were trying to do good. Or I don't believe any of that now. I think it's all, I'll probably never vote again. It's a waste of time. Nothing's changing. Nothing's ever going to change. And we are here so they can print trillions of dollars and push a narrative and agenda and, rob and steal from the people. And every civilization does that. That's what America is no different. I know people want to think that America is great, and we are in certain aspects, but we also are horrible in certain aspects, where we do the same thing that every other civilization has done, which is destroy its people. And our government's doing it now.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't want to talk about it, but it's true. The government is fake. Money is fake. Everything is fake. People, look at the institutions that we used to love, the FDA, or believe in, CDC, the FDA. You can't, who believes them now?
Right.
Look how bad the food is poison. You trust the FDA?
Yeah.
It's all, like, all of the shedding and all the fallacy about our government has come to the surface. Here's who we are. It's a toxic government. They're not for the people. It's about power, greed, and control. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and there's what people don't understand too, or maybe don't want to look at, is there's a shadow government. There's a group of people that's actually running things behind the scenes.
It ain't Trump.
Right. It's not Trump.
It ain't Biden.
It's not Putin.
No.
It's
100%.
We could go back and say it's the 13 original families, like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Royals. And, there's some prophecies that talk about, going way back a long time ago, that those were the original families, and they're continuing to rule the world. And, they don't want 8 billion people here.
No, they don't.
There were too many for them. So they're going to do everything in their power to try to lessen our numbers and then take control of us in whatever way they can.
And I agree with you people think that Elon is the richest man. No, he's not.
Mm-mm.
That's who they want you to think.
Mhm.
These companies, these families that you just mentioned, they created the central banks.
Yep.
That happened in 1913.
Mhm.
So in other words, they started a bank so they could loan you and I money
Mhm.
and then charge you interest.
Mhm.
They've been doing this since 1913.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
Musk is the richest man in the world? No.
Right.
It's the bankers, it's the central banks, and that who's running those, in my opinion, that's who's running the show. It's everybody, it's exactly what you said. Above Trump and above Obama, Biden, Bush, all of that is just bullshit.
Right.
All of that. And I never used to believe that, but I believe
Either.
that now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you're seeing the corruption in America, and it's everywhere, local, state, and federal governments. I mean, they're all corrupt,
Mhm.
all of them. So,
Well, that's why whenever there's an election and everybody gets excited about this new person, this new president's gonna, they're making all these promises, they're gonna make all these changes.
right.
They get in there and then nothing happens. It's because even they realize I have no power.
It's the and I guarantee it. It's gonna be one of those conversations that we're gonna let you be in charge, and you can do some things, but if you step out of line, we know your family, we know your daughter, we know who this. I mean, all of a sudden, oh, your family's taking a trip on a plane, and all of a sudden that plane goes down. I'm sorry. That's how I feel where we're at. Right
And we are there. We
Yeah, we're
absolutely
there.
are there. And I know that's what Bob was worried about for sure when this was happening to him. He was told on several occasions, you will be killed
Oh yeah.
if you release this information. And in my opinion, I think he was excited about, the test flights, but he brought his wife
I would have too.
and
Let's
some
go.
of his friends. I know. I mean,
Don't say
right.
anything. Let's go.
And
Let's go check this out.
And I would have probably, I would have done that too,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
how cool would that be?
know.
Even so it's like with me, my Bob Lazar story, I would want to tell people my Bob Lazar story, but they wouldn't believe me or they wouldn't be as excited about it.
Sure.
But it's kind of like that. They heard about what he was doing, but they needed to see it and he needed to see it.
Yeah.
And so, that's how this all happened was he brought his wife and friends out to see one of the test flights on Wednesday night. And unfortunately, they got caught.
Right.
They tried,
Was it S4 or
it was at S4.
S4, yeah.
They got caught. And, of course, when the sheriffs looked through all their badges and, or his name, he was in the car. And then the higher ups, of course, heard about it.
Oh, yeah.
And so he knew right then that he was compromised and he was
Right.
probably going to lose his life.
Sure.
So that's why I believe
That's why
he had
came
to
forward.
come out and say, yes, it's me, so that it was his only way of not being killed.
And I think he's even mentioned, and I might be wrong, but I'll say allegedly, but I think there were some shots at his life,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right. So I
Yes.
thought, yeah, they
Yes.
did
Shot
say
at
that.
while he was driving.
Right, while he was driving, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to the UFOs, have you seen one?
I have.
Okay,
I have.
Would you want to share?
Sure. There's been a couple of occasions. One that stands out to me the most was it was broad daylight. And so I like to talk about that one. It was in Las Vegas.
My goodness.
It was after I had moved away. So I was an adult. I had come back and I was driving with my father. I was the passenger and he was driving. And sure enough, I'm just looking straight ahead, beautiful, sunny day, not a cloud in sight. I see this like silver metallic thing just kind of in the air in front of me and it wasn't moving. And we were driving, so I kept thinking it was going to change its perspective, but it didn't. And when I got kind of a little bit closer to it, it turned on its side and went off really fast. And before I could even say anything, hey, Dad, did you see that? It was gone, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I know what that was. It was never, was that? With me, it's never, did I just see what I think I saw?
You
It's
know.
always, I know. It's
You
like
know,
this knowing
yeah.
that I have inside.
And Bob mentions that too in his latest documentary is when they turn on its side where it is the pilots have told the craft and where it wants to go. And then it uses its propulsion to push.
Yes.
Because then there's three of them that shift.
Yes.
Three power centers. I'm not sure what the proper term is, but they all shifted. And that's why it goes on its side. And it goes like kind of skips, goes, and then it goes to one certain point, and then we'll go to another, or etc.
Yeah, it creates its own gravity around
Yeah.
the vehicles to where when it's going and moving in such fast speeds, the occupants inside don't feel any inertia at all,
Right, of course.
because they're not being
Subject to
subject to the gravity, because
right, the
it's
gravity
creating its own
forces.
gravitational force, and that's what the element 115 does. It allows it to create that
Okay.
force.
So you saw one during the daytime. So I'm
I
assuming you saw one at night.
I
It's
did.
interesting to see it during the daytime. How old do you think you were when you saw it?
So I'd had my kids already, so I'd had to been probably mid-30s.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was an adult.
Yeah.
And then when I moved here,
Mhm.
well, I also like to say first too, everywhere I've moved, there's a alien or UFO component to it. So I moved from Las Vegas to Medford, Oregon. I lived there for 17 years. And an hour and a half from Medford, Oregon is Mount Shasta.
Yes.
And Mount Shasta has a lot of UFO activity.
Yes.
There's rumors of a Pleiadian base underneath the mountain, which I full-heartedly believe.
Mm.
I've been to Mount Shasta, and I told you before, I'm not much of a feeler, but if I can feel the energy there, then that means it's very, very potent, and you just feel the energy there. There's vortexes, there's portals that interdimensional beings will use to get into our world. So what are the odds that I would move
Yeah.
to a place that's an hour and a half from there? And then what are the odds that I would move to Gulf Breeze, which used to be the UFO sighting capital of the world?
I didn't know that until recently. And yeah, when I was doing some research for this podcast, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Again, this is not a
Yeah.
coincidence.
But I've been looking outside to see ones. I've seen one too in real life when I was younger, when I was 19. A friend and I saw one at nighttime. We were walking back from a park to her car, and we saw this just stationary white object just hovering there. And you're like, and then it went,
Oh, wow.
like I could see the tracers like Star Wars. And then we looked at each other and it was just like, that just happened? And but I know it did. You know, I know it did. And she and
glad you had
yeah. Oh yeah, I believe. I'm a
verify
firm
it.
believer. Now, I mean, I think at this point you have to be ignorant to think that we are the only species in a universe that is filled with galaxies. I think you have to be arrogant
Or
egotistical to think that
just so scared.
true. That's a good point. I never thought of it from that perspective. Yeah.
Because I
Fear.
had to try to have a
Sure.
conversation with this woman once, and I was
she
I was
religious?
feeling, well, I was feeling the water out. No, but I was kind of feeling the water out, and I mentioned UFOs, and I saw the look, and she actually goes, Laura, she goes, I can't go there. I won't ever be able to go there. So it's not even worth talking about.
Yes, and there's some people I
Can't.
can't.
The fear of that being a possibility for her is just so great that she won't even allow herself.
I think what it does, it blows up your entire belief system.
It does.
So when it blows up your belief system in the worldview that you have, and you realize that everything that you have been taught
Yes.
is a lie.
And I think that's why it didn't bother me, because I didn't have that belief system. I had my own belief system that this was all real when I was young. So
when you were young, you know,
I never felt shattered or like,
Sure.
oh my God, everything I know is a lie, because I knew that. I was always like, why are you guys not telling us the truth? Why are you
Yeah.
keeping this from us?
There's
You know?
something more than this
Even in
bull that you're
school,
telling
I'm
us.
like reading the books with with the pyramids. I'm like, there's no way slaves built the
There's
pyramids.
no way.
I'd be asking the questions. I'm like, there's no way. Well, that's what we're told. And I'm just like,
You know how heavy those stones are at the top of the pyramid? There's no
and we're
way.
just
And then
the pulley system, please.
yeah, the police. There's no way, but people will believe it.
Yes.
People will believe it.
Yes.
And but I had a good friend who taught me something, and it was beautiful and magical because it helped me put my ego in check. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was this. She goes, Armondo. She goes, it's not what you can prove. She says it's what they believe. And I was just like, "Oh," because I'm a black and white guy. I'm like, "Oh, wait, the book says this." You know? It's like
Yeah.
it's like, "No, the book says this. Nope, that's not possible, or this is possible." You know? It's like but not everything is so binary, you know? Ones and zeros is not how life works. There's always an in between in the middle someplace. But I think when you meet with some folks who are incapable of having a different perspective, I think it tells a lot about that person as well. It's like they're very closed off, and it's not necessarily. I mean, here's the deal: the older I get, I'm 52. The more I realize I don't know shit. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear
Like,
you.
back when you're in the 40s and 30s, like, oh, I know everything. It's like, no, 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 no. The older I get, I realize, oh, I don't know anything. I'm just doing the best I can.
Yep.
And the fact that we are here doing the best we can, we know that there have been aliens that have intercepted missiles.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Fact.
We know that they didn't really show themselves, at least to most people, until the 40s, and that's more likely to do with the bomb,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's stuff that we don't understand. There's another universe, another layer of consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, that we just, or plasma. I mean, we're surrounded by plasma. I mean, we
I can't
just
see it.
don't, right, that
Yeah.
we don't fully understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think what we can do now is now the government's saying, no, there is 4 aliens. They come out and said that.
Well,
Sort of.
right. The government
Which is just
hasn't
bull.
actually said it, but David Grush
David Koresh.
and all of his colleagues and whistleblowers who have gone on the record under oath saying that yes, this is the fact. But
Nice.
here's the thing with that. Disclosure is going to be messy, and it because there's reports, and I believe them. I've met Laura Eisenhower. She's a great granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, and she talks about how he actually met with a group of aliens. Can't remember which Air Force base it was, but
It was where the California went.
yes,
I
it was
know
in
this story.
California.
Yes, I know this story.
That
They
he-
exchanged technology for people.
Yes.
Yes.
So basically, what happened was they said, the American people, we will allow you to abduct a certain number of Americans per year in exchange for alien technology. And that's supposedly where we got fiber optics, LEDs,
Transistor.
Kevlar, isn't that
Yeah.
bullet resistant stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
transistors. Yeah.
So,
All that
I
stuff.
mean, I don't see the government ever being like, sorry guys, but yes, we did allow some of you to be abducted. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how is that going to play out?
And,
So,
and they can't even, and even if they did, but we couldn't do anything about it anyways.
right.
I mean, we have no power to stop these aliens, or no power to do any of this stuff. It's like they're going to take who they want anyway.
Exactly. Because we're not even, people don't remember these abductions half the time.
And nor could we really stop them.
Exactly.
I mean,
Because
they're at a level that we don't even understand.
Right. So that's why, I'm always leery whenever the government or even Hollywood comes out with something about aliens or disclosure, because it's always going to be just what they want us to know, and just a little bit of information to satisfy the masses.
Right.
But they're not getting into the nitty-gritty, which is what needs to be out there.
Well, that's a good segue. So let's talk about that. So, okay, went through Bob, right? Met Bob. Bob got arrested eventually. Bob has still continued over the years to share information. Now his documentary out now has all kinds of information out there. A lot more than what he's had in the past, I feel. I think it might have been some new stuff.
Yeah, and I'll show you this too.
Yeah.
So this was when I met Bob. This was in 97 or 98. So this was, oh my gosh, 30 years ago.
Getting old, man.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 50. I turned 50 this
Yeah, I got to beat that 2 years.
I know.
I don't feel 52 though.
No, and
I feel great.
Well, because every morning I look in the mirror and I say, I am healthier and more younger than I was yesterday. And it's all about intentions for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I met Bob, we had an amazing discussion. We went for coffee. We talked about we talked about some of the things that I've always been interested in. Aside from aliens, time travel has been a huge thing for me. How cool would it be to go back in time? I always loved back in time type movies. My favorite movie was Somewhere in Time. And actually, I told Bob about that. We were talking about that because I had heard about something called the Philadelphia experiment. And I wanted to know if he knew anything about that. And anytime I asked him a question about trying to get like insider information, what I loved about Bob was that he was very gracious. He would only just smile and nod, but he never would disclose anything that he wasn't supposed to. So even after the government completely tried to ruin his life, he still abided by what his morals were.
Morals and values.
And that was he's not going to disclose anything that shouldn't be out to the normal public. So, there were some things that I felt he validated for me,
Yeah.
which was really cool.
Sure.
And that was one of those was, talking about time travel
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that, yes, America or shadow government has the ability to dabble in time
I
travel.
believe it. Sure.
So, that was an amazing conversation. And he then told me about a screenplay that had been written, and there was going to be a movie about his life coming out. So this was in the late 90s. And this is the screenplay right here. And it was actually called S4, which is what the Bob Lazar story, which is what
No
the
kidding.
movie he came out with recently.
Yes.
So what this is different. This is a screenplay written for the Hollywood screen, so it has a little bit of fictionalized
Yeah, of
stuff, I
course.
think, just to make it a little bit more interesting. But it has a lot of similarity to the biography movie that came out about him recently. But it does talk about this element 115. That yes, there were people who died trying to work on this element and stabilize it.
Right.
And what they would do is when that would happen, when there would be an explosion, they would just blame it on a test site,
Right.
and
It's
the Nevada
classified.
test site.
Yeah, it's like yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's so interesting. It's like I just want to be a fly on the wall just for a day, just to know like really what we do know. I have a theory too. Is like if you think this is the AI,
Mm.
no,
Mm-hmm.
no, think about it. You think the government doesn't have a super duper fancy schmancy AI that's so advanced that
Mhm.
we don't even know about?
Well, yeah.
It's I mean, it's like for sure. I mean, they're letting us have AI now, which is like this much of its power.
Mhm.
They've had the government created the
Right.
network infrastructure. It's called ARPANET. They started back in the 60s. They've been collecting data since the 60s on us, the first network, and feeding some type of in my mind, some type of AI. And I believe that they use it just for certain things
Mhm.
when like destroy America from within. So that kind of thing.
Mhm.
How do we destroy America from within? That let's use this AI. Oh,
Well, and their holographic capabilities
100%.
are scary.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Project Bluebeam?
Yes.
Mm.
And matter of fact, so go tying that into one of the latest news is that there was a F-16 or F-15, I can't remember which plane that was shot down in Iran.
Mhm.
The pilots came out and said it was a jellyfish-like drone that
I
surrounded
saw
the
that.
jets,
Yeah.
and that's what Iran and who knows what else they have, and then what we have. We're all like, this war is not anything like we've seen before. This is a
Mhm.
whole nother ball game of what's going on, and you can have AI be completely autonomous, drones being autonomous, and take down
Mhm.
aircraft that
Mhm.
have U.S. symbols on them.
Mhm.
Autonomous drones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who knows what's going on. But there's all kinds of there's been so much information on UFOs and UAPs and just disclosure in general. You feel like something's coming, but there's always the carrot.
There is.
And you never so my thing is that, wait a minute, is this just a
They're just continually.
psyop? Just like David Garush. Like I was in the government for 22 years. So when I hear somebody say, hey, I'm only allowed to say XYZ, you're not a whistleblower.
Mhm.
You're working for them.
Mhm.
That's how I see things. That's not a whistleblower. What do you mean you're only allowed to
Mhm.
say certain things? To me, it's like you're still employed by the government.
Mhm.
That's how I kind of see that. Is some of these people are planted
Mhm.
to share, but when is it all going to come fully out? Maybe never.
Yeah. It might, you know,
It's that carrot,
it's hard. Yeah.
and it's getting more and more and more, but you don't see anything changing. Like even like Trump, oh, we're going to release him. Nothing changed.
So I follow a lot of people in the woo-woo world, very spiritual people, channelers, and a couple of them that are pretty well known. One is Bashar,
Yeah.
okay, who's Daryl Anka. He channels an alien, and he believes, and a lot of these people who are in the spiritual realm think that next year, 2027, is really when aliens are gonna let us know that they're here. And people are like, well, they've kind of been knowing that already. And here's what I've heard on that is that it's not going to be up to humans as to when disclosure happens. It's really going to be up to the aliens because they're the ones that are running the show. From my understanding, and I believe it goes back to Eisenhower, that they were given a time frame. You need to let the people know what really is happening by a such and such date, and that date has passed.
I see.
And so that's why they're coming more in droves and why I was seeing a lot more of them because they're just kind of standing in front of our government like, hey, you guys going to let them know what's happening or are we going to have to do
I
this?
see.
And so I asked you about Project Bluebeam because that is a psyop that a lot of people are nervous about. That's kind of like their last ditch effort to control is basically they're going to create an alien invasion using holographs and this AI technology, this drone stuff that's way above what we believe that they have the
Right. They can make
capabilities
mountains
for.
disappear.
Right.
Actually, yeah, I'm tracking. So,
They're going to
yeah,
do
I'm
something amazing in the sky.
and because it looks so
Yeah.
real, they're gonna be like, holy cow.
And supposedly even they're going to have like Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and these different religious figures
Yeah.
come into each of our consciousness.
Whatever you believe.
Yes, whatever you believe in, like it's okay, or I don't know what to do, but they're somehow going to do something to make us all try to band together, and so they can control us,
Yeah.
create fear and control.
Yeah.
And what I've heard is that Bashar will say it, and other channelers will say who have contact with these alien groups and the Galactic Federation, the good aliens, and they'll say they can think they're going to want to do that as much as they want, but we will never allow them to manipulate and scare the worldly people to that extent. They've had it with our governments. They've had it with the shadow governments. I don't think that they're going to allow that. I know.
Me too. I'm at it.
So maybe I'm naive and maybe I'm just still wanting that, but I feel like in the next 2 years, we're going to know who the hybrid aliens are that have been living among us. We're going to start to have that.
Elon's one of them.
He is. We're going to start to have those connections, and that's just going to open up so much for us. New medical capabilities, cancer cure, energy crisis situations. So
They have it.
They have it.
0 point energy. They just want to milk us.
and we have the cure to cancer, but they're not going to give it to us because they don't want us. They can't make money off of us if we're cured.
Everything is being monetized. Every aspect of your life is going
Yes.
to be monetized, and you'll be a subscription. Everything is going to be a subscription, and we're already there. We're
And
already
like what you were saying with the financial system, every system is archaic and old and is not going to be able to be brought into the new world. So
Mm.
everything's going to fail. I don't know what that looks like, and I'm a little scared, honestly.
we all going to be poor. All of us.
And something new is going to be brought into this new world
Digital
where
currency.
we're all going to have a fair shot. There's not going to be corruption. Dolores Cannon calls it the 100 golden years.
Yeah.
Where we're going to rebuild a new world based on conscious living and help cooperation instead of competition.
I
and no
believe
ego.
that. I believe that we are headed to something great. However, I do believe that we're going to have a very difficult time in transition.
We
and you and I are going to live right through it, sister. But honestly, I think the transition is like, yes, I do believe that in hope. I do believe in a whole new system where things will be fair and simpler. However, the old system has to die first, and
Yes.
there's going to take a lot of people with
It's
it.
gonna get ugly.
It's going to get very ugly.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel for people. It's like, like when this, well, anyways, the financial piece is a whole nother podcast. So I won't go
Mhm.
down that rabbit hole because I'll get down a tangent real quick. So we won't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a mess. But okay, so where we're at today and everything that we've been seeing all over the news, Discovery Channel, History Channel, you name it, it's all UFOs, UAPs, and etc. You're saying 2027 it's going to be the year of potentially disclosure. And I think most people are saying that. And I think that's why we're seeing all of the push from whistleblowers, military people, and you hear some crazy stories. And frankly, I believe most of them. I believe in.
I do too.
I believe most of them.
Why? Right. Why go to the?
You have military guys who have high clearances. Not that they can't be wrong or lie, but
Right.
reputable military officers and others, NCOs, enlisted folks, whatever, are saying, look, I've done this. I have been part of, there's one story out there where I can't forget this gentleman's name, but he said he got surrounded by a team. They were a team of Army or Marines doing something. I forget where they were. They might have been in South America or Peru. Then they were surrounded by another team,
Yikes.
all dressed in black, crazy weapons because they had just came over a valley and they saw a huge ship with taking people in. People. And this, I'm not making this up. This is on YouTube. I forget which podcast there is, but it might be the Danny Jones podcast, but essentially military, NCOs who are on special operations teams who were surrounded by other special operations who were dressed in black. Sounded like Americans, but no American symbols, and a craft down in the valley taking in people. So there's crazy stuff going on, man, and you don't know what to believe. You don't know what the truth is, and I hear this story and I believe it. I don't believe anything coming from the government.
I don't either anymore.
I don't nothing.
You can't.
I think if you trust this government now, you're blinded.
You are
completely blind.
You are absolutely.
So hauling people.
So I watch Gaia. I don't know if you're familiar with Gaia. Okay. If I watch TV, that's the only thing I'm watching. And they have a show called Cosmic Disclosure. I don't know if you've watched that show.
I'm not sure, but go ahead.
But it's when you told me that story, that sounds like something out of beyond that show.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about it because it's honestly a little bit above my head. But there are military members who have said that they have been recruited at young ages to be in these special programs, taken off planet.
Yes.
Gone to Mars.
Yes, I believe
gone
it.
to the moon.
Yeah.
That there are bases there and have actually gone in space forces to other planets and wiped out bad aliens. People.
Interesting. Okay.
That there's
I heard
actually
that
a
one.
space force of people out there, military men that are out there doing space stuff out in, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I'm laughing at the dogs behind you.
so the story you told me about that,
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
that absolutely fits into something
knows?
like that. And it's all done with like mind control and MK Ultra, which if you notice, they're having the MK Ultra Senate hearings right now.
Yes.
And that is
too.
I mean, that
Marilyn Manson.
people used to tell us, oh my God, don't talk about mind control. Oh, that's just silly, Laura.
Ted
And now
Kaczynski.
it's finally coming out. Jack Ruby
Yeah,
said, but
I mean, you name it. Like all these people were used by the government, exploited, and then murdered,
Yep.
and then by our own government. I mean, that's essentially what's going on.
It's nice that all of this stuff is finally coming out. Am I happy about it? Yes, because these are things that I've been screaming since the 1990s, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. So it's nice that it's happening.
Yeah,
But it's
like
causing, it is a validation, but it's causing such a divide because those who can't handle the truth, who don't want to see what's really happening, they're just going to continue to suffer through all of this because they're going to get to the point where they're so low because all of this stuff is being come out as true. They're not going to know what to do with themselves. And I think those are the people like you talk about that aren't going to be able to come with us to the new earth.
Yeah.
Either I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know that there's going to be a faction of people who can't handle everything that's happened.
Sure.
And won't make the right decisions to better themselves to be part of
Yeah, and that's their process and their journey, and we can't save everyone. And it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna come this way. It's like I love the saying where Armando, we have to walk everyone home. Not my home.
No.
Yeah, like, not you ain't coming to my home. Like, I'll walk
No.
with you, but not to my home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So not everyone. You can't save everyone, and I think that's the biggest gift I think Aya has given me is being able to like, hey, don't take yourself too serious. It's okay if you have your opinion over here and you can express your opinion, your belief system, but be able to hold another opinion over here respectfully and
Yes.
just be able to have that conversation, especially when it comes to men and women and when they're doing this.
Mhm.
Like, we can talk and have this conversation. Doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything that you say,
Mhm.
but I'm going to still treat you with respect and love you for who you are and place you accordingly.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's the gist of it.
Mhm.
So, okay, so let's see here. In summary, to finalize, 2027, you think is the big year for disclosure?
I do. I don't know what that's gonna look like exactly, but
Yeah.
I feel like and I've heard that it's people who are ready for it will be able to see it. So again,
Mm.
there's gonna be people who, might not be able to wrap their head around it, and so won't believe what's being presented to them.
Mhm.
But from what I understand, they're gonna be making themselves known in ways that we'll realize that we have hybrids living among us.
100%. I believe that for sure.
Um,
I think, yeah.
and yeah, and that they've been helping us for eons. And one of the thing that Bob even talks about, a lot of the knowledge that he gained during
Mhm.
his working with when he worked at EG&G out at S4 was a lot of the knowledge was coming from the briefings that he got.
100%.
He would sit and have to read these big briefing folders. And one of the things that, he discovered was that one of the ships was from an archaeological dig that
I've
they
heard
found at
that.
the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
one of the other ships was from the reticula or Zeta Reticuli. I'm probably saying it wrong.
It's okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Star system,
Right.
and that was the one that he mentioned as the sport model. But none of these vehicles were beaten up or crashed. So
A gift.
it was.
Yeah.
The one we
Yes.
dug up,
Yeah.
obviously, from an archaeological dig. But think about, did anybody over here hear about that?
Yeah.
Think about all of the people that had to be involved in digging up a
Mm.
massive UFO off the bottom of the earth, and nobody talks about it.
Right.
All these people have to sign all these non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah.
But so many people now, there's so many people involved, and that's why I think there's so many whistleblowers, is because there's so many people involved in this cover up that it can't be covered up any longer.
I see.
So I think next year will be
The big
disclosure.
Do you
I
think
also
it'll be a
think
big alien ship? Like, do
I
you think
don't know.
what do you think it'll be?
I think so here's what I think. Okay. In a couple of days is the anniversary of Roswell. July 8th was the day that the Air Force said, "We got a flying saucer." Well, people are speculating that President Trump is going to have an address on that day. The man who made the movie Age of Disclosure,
Mhm.
which was another movie that came out recently this year, great movie that talks about all the government disclosures, the Senate and the Congress hearings.
Mhm.
The man who made that movie said that President Trump has been up to speed on some of these alien bases, and that
Okay.
they're speculating on the anniversary on July 8th that he's going to come out and say something. So, if that happens, I think that might be the start of some
Okay.
sort of soft disclosure. But I feel like next year for sure, there's going to be more sightings. I think people are going to be, I don't know if it's going to be President Trump or how these people are going to be brought up, but I
Sure.
think hybrids will be known.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be an unleash a wave of documentation. However, I'm not getting my hopes up.
Because we know that works so well with the Epstein.
Yeah.
And they do that on purpose.
know.
They dump a bunch of information that doesn't make sense to a lot of people,
Yeah.
that's hard to get through,
Yeah.
just so they can say they did their part, and then
Right.
we're left confused.
Yeah.
But I know, I don't I wanna get I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always believing that next year is gonna be
I
disclosure.
just want to go on a ride.
So
Give me a UFO ride.
and I'm tired of waiting.
Me
you
too.
know? I'm
So
tired
that's
of
why I don't
waiting.
have hope, because it's been so. I mean, again, I believe for sure. I believe we have this technology. I believe in you. I believe in aliens. I believe in all of that. But I think that they're going to keep it as close hold as long as possible.
I don't think they're gonna have a choice. I think the extraterrestrials up there are gonna have it. They're gonna be like,
Bring the
these
aliens.
people are, yeah, they're gonna, I think they're gonna force their hand to have to disclose. Now, what is all gonna be disclosed will be anybody's guess.
Yeah.
But it's going to open up a can of worms,
Yeah.
because then we're gonna start talking about abductions and
Yes.
cow mutilation.
How many?
And
Why?
and
All that stuff. Why? What are you
the
doing?
philosophical or what that
Yes.
means, and how does
100%.
someone live with themselves, possibly knowing that their body has been invaded
Yeah,
without their
the trauma from all of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's going to be very interesting times, and I'm really happy I'm here.
Yeah.
Even though it
thank
might
you.
get really ugly,
Yeah.
I do believe that we've won. I believe it's going to be beautiful 10 years from now.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to go through some ick beforehand.
So here's what we'll do. We'll have another podcast a year from now. So it'll be July 27, and we'll see if the aliens have come yet.
I love that.
So
Do that. That would be great.
So who doesn't like talking about UFOs and aliens?
I don't know.
It's good stuff.
None of my group, none of my friends. I'm all my friends. That's all we talk about. If you don't like to talk about that, you're not in my
Yeah, well, you
group
got the right
usually.
friends. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you for being here, ma'am. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, we'll do this again. I love talking about UFOs, and we'll go a little bit deeper once we have some of the technical difficulties figured out, like that camera I'm worried about. So, but once, we'll do this again for sure. So I just love talking. So,
Thank you.
So thank you, ma'am. Appreciate
I
you.
love being here. Thank you.
Yeah.